Hi, and welcome back to State. Today we're going to talk about mental health, self-care, and stress management during a pandemic. I know you can't see my face, but I wanted to give you a quick hey. My name is Jess Mock, and I'm the Mental Health Outreach Coordinator, and I'm a licensed professional counselor at the Health and Wellness Center on campus. And we are at Penn State Altoona. If you ever need to get in touch with me, the easiest way would be via email, and I have it listed there on your screen, jlh5223 at psu.edu. Feel free to send me an email if you have any questions, concerns, or if you need any help in knowing what services might be appropriate for you at the Health and Wellness Center. I'm always here to help. So just some general information about the Health and Wellness Center. We're located inside the Sheets Family Health Center. Our hours of operation are Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and then Fridays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we have 3 different services located under one roof with health services, counseling, and student disability resources. And if you ever are sanctioned to complete any groups such as Aware or Impact, you will complete them at the Health and Wellness Center. Information specific to fall 2020. Things are going to look a little different this year, as do a lot of things look different. So I think the biggest thing to take away from this slide is make sure that if you need to come into the Health and Wellness Center for anything, you are calling ahead of time. A lot of our students need to go through a screening process via phone. So if you need something, please just call in before. Our phone number is 814-949-5540. And you can also find this information on our website at altoona.psu.edu/health and wellness. Some things to really take out of this slide as well. If you have a registered disability and you need accommodations for classes, please contact Mandy Ronan, and her email address is listed on the screen. CAPS, which is Counseling and Psychological Services, will be doing primarily remote sessions, but we'll still have staff on site during business hours. So we all know that with COVID-19 brings a whole new territory. A lot of people use the term that new normal. However, I think that new territory kind of describes more of what's going on right now. So some of the things that we see on campus now look a lot different than we have before. So social distancing, less in-person activities, a lot of posters about hand washing, hygiene, masks, all of those things. And one of the things I really want you to take away from this is that while we are encouraging people to be physically distant, we want you to still be social with each other. So we have to be really creative in figuring out how to do that. So just remember, it's more physical distancing rather than social distancing at this time. So I think in terms of talking about what our experiences are like, I think it's important for returning students and also first-year students to realize that our experiences are going to be different based upon when we started at Penn State Altoona or any Penn State campus. So whenever we hear people talking about, remember that time last year, remember that time, at that party, I think we get this overwhelming feeling of being alone and feeling like, and if we can't remember it, then we think of, wow, like I must be really out of the group and not a part of this. So I want you to all be mindful that whenever we're talking about things that happened last year versus this year, remember that all of our experiences are different and unique. And just as you don't want to be the one that doesn't feel like, oh, I don't remember that, so I felt disincluded, please remember that when you're talking with students that may be entering in their first year. I saw a really cool article about how, when we're kids, sometimes our parents would give us a shiny new expensive toy for Christmas. And you would hear them joking about how maybe you as a child just wanted to play with the cardboard box that was simple and just, something that you could play in instead of the expensive toy. I want you to kind of think about maybe how this year could look more like that box, that simple box, rather than that really expensive toy that you got as a child. And you really have the opportunity to create and make this year as unique as you want it to be. That cardboard box, you could turn that into a robot. You could turn that into a pirate ship. You could turn that into many different things. So remember that this year. You can use this year as that simple box that you can turn into a much different experience than you maybe were expecting in the first place. So what does this mean for your college experience? What does this new territory mean? Of course, it's going to look different. We're all in this together and this is all new. So while there's that saying, like, it is what it is, there's a second part to that, that is, it becomes what you make it, right? So it is what it is. We are dealing with the same problems all around the board, but I want you to remember that it truly does become what you make it. Remember, connecting with others is so important. You have the opportunity to connect with people in ways that people weren't able to maybe 25, 30 years ago, through social media, through different, video platforms, through different apps on your phone. I want you to remember that this is not forever. It's only temporary, and to tap into all of those virtual resources, even the ones that I'm going to show you today. So let's talk about times of adversity, times that maybe you were going through something really tough. Maybe you played sports and you had an injury in high school. Maybe you suffered, the loss of a loved one at a young age. Or maybe you had a disability that maybe made things really difficult for you to overcome while you were younger. Maybe you just had an annoying brother or sister that really just chose to pick on you a lot, and you had some things that you had to overcome in your relationship. I want you to think about that adversity and how it made you different. I want you to focus on having gratitude. What are some things that you're grateful for? Are you grateful just to have this experience, to be able to go away to college? Or even if you're not going away to college, just be able to be in college in general. Remember, getting accepted into college is not an easy thing. Not everyone gets accepted into a 4-year degree program or even 2-year degree program. So make sure that you are focusing on that gratitude. Focus on the things that bring you joy and the things that you do have in your life, rather than the deficits, the things that you don't. You can control how much COVID-19 news you subject yourself to, and make sure that the news that you do subject yourself to is credible. And make sure that you're staying connected to those you love, your family, your friends, even if it's virtually. And we're going to talk more about some things called the 3 M's, movement, mindfulness, and music, that could really be helpful during this time. And it's easy to remember. I want you to take a look at this slide and really think about, how you can cope with things, knowing that there's going to be a lot of things that you can't control in this situation, and a lot of things that you can control, right? So while you may not be able to control the fact that someone may not be abiding by restrictions or guidelines, you can control if you abide by those restrictions or guidelines. So make sure that you're looking at this and thinking about how you can apply this to your own mindset, your own change. Remember, our circle that we can control is much smaller than the circle that we can't control. So remember that. And just, if you're dealing with that in the moment, remember to think about, okay, is this something I can control or something I can't? So I want you to take a moment and just think about one issue or concern that has caused you stress since the beginning of college. Just one. A lot of people experience issues transitioning to independence. So moving out of your family's home, moving into your own space, or even just transitioning from being in high school to college, or even transitioning from last year to this year. So looking on here, there's many different worries that we can go through, many different issues that we can deal with. And so remember, this list is long, and I'm going to tell you, it's even longer. Academics, hybrid models, how I make a friend, midterms, getting sick for the first time away from home. So while all of these common issues are some things that some students experience, know that it's not uncommon for students to experience anxiety or depression for the first time. Looking at your expectations, realizing that college is not as fun as you had imagined, or maybe it's more fun. Financial strains, holiday stress, parental struggles. These are all things that many students have to deal with. So let's talk about stress. So I want you to think about ways that maybe you experience stress. Feeling overwhelmed, change in eating habits, your mood, isolating yourself, headaches, feeling sick to your stomach, feelings of anxiousness, feeling like you just can't relax, reoccurring thoughts about a stressor, just can't stop thinking about something. So what's the main difference between stress and anxiety and depression? The biggest thing is here, stress is temporary and usually triggered by an event or situation. It is part of our fight, flight, or freeze response, and it is a normal part of life. Don't panic, okay? That's why I put this Bitmoji on here. Don't panic. If you're undergoing some sort of stress, know that it is normal and that there are ways to navigate that. So what's the main differences between stress and anxiety? Anxiety looks very similar to stress, okay? Like it can have the same sort of symptoms, but anxiety is definitely more long-term and does not subside over time. It could come out of nowhere, and maybe it's hard for you to identify what it is specifically that's causing you to feel anxious. Also, it impedes your life function, so your ability to do your academics. Maybe you can't concentrate and you can't do work. Maybe it's difficult for you to go to sleep. Maybe it's really difficult for you to eat. And remember, this is lasting long term. I would say more than 1 to 2 weeks. Let's watch this. I had a video, but it didn't work. So let's talk about depression. Depression is more serious and long lasting. And most of the time it won't resolve on its own. It feels more intense than stress, and it's usually more than 2 weeks. There's a lot of significant changes, like you being so physically tired you cannot physically get out of bed. That's mainly the mood changes, but there's a lot of other symptoms as well. Other symptoms. Maybe you notice a friend, or maybe you yourself withdraw from other people. You stay in your room. You choose not to go out in public. You feel guilty about a lot of things. Eating more or less than usual. Being really irritable, and you have trouble making decisions. And remember, this is lasting for more than 2 weeks. Maybe you have some anger that you feel, but it's not typical for you. And then sometimes there's this overwhelming feeling that you can't overcome difficulties in your life. Those times that you knew that you could get through those adverse situations, maybe right now you just don't feel like you can get through that. You have trouble functioning, getting up, going to class, have trouble eating, have trouble sleeping, trouble with relationships. If you notice that your relationships seem to be, on an edge most of the time, maybe this is something that you're experiencing. So Penn State Altoona students in distress. So in the past 4 weeks, how many days have students felt that emotional or mental difficulties have hurt their academic performance? The main reason why you're here, right? 38% of students at Penn State Altoona said that 1 to 2 days a week, sometimes emotional or mental difficulties hurt their academic performance. 6 or more days for almost 16% of those students. So chances are someone in your classroom, the same class that you're in and having to view this video for, may be experiencing these emotional and mental difficulties. So no, it is normal, and it is happening all around you. So let's talk about some common mistakes students make and how to avoid them. So sometimes we hold on to upsetting emotions and thoughts. We let them build, right? And we let them, eventually we explode. Don't do this. Don't wait to get organized. Don't burn the candle at both ends. Don't avoid talking to people that are really helpful for you. Don't stay in your room and not attend anything. What's really important is you do some positive activities. Find someone trusted to talk to. And maybe it's a counselor, maybe it's an RA, maybe it is someone in your class, maybe it is your roommate, maybe it's a new friend, maybe it's an old friend from college. But make sure you find someone to talk to. Join a club. Ease into the social scene, right? Little bits at a time. Get to know the staff and RAs. They're there to help you and maintain communication. Make sure you are getting enough sleep too. Do not burn the candle at both ends. That is super important. So how do we make this transition a little bit more easy to deal with? Reach out, right? There are people out there that want to help you. Find out what resources are here for you. Remember, you're not alone, and this is a fresh start, and you can truly decide who you are and who you want to be, and get involved. Don't believe everything you hear. You might hear that a lot of people are hooking up. Not everyone is hooking up, and you are not alone. Take care of your health. That's what's most important as well. Make sure you're communicating with your roommate about any differences you might have. Reach out to your instructors. If you're having difficulty in a class, instructors really appreciate if you reach out to them. Take initiative, right? Email them first. Tell them you're struggling with something and ask if they can help. Chances are they are willing to help you. That's what they're there for. Make sure you have a good structure and time management. Set boundaries for yourself and your peers. What boundaries might look like is, I'm not going to talk about this person because I don't feel like it's right that I'm talking about someone in a negative way, right? Set boundaries in terms of, no, I'm not going to attend that party off campus this weekend because I don't want to risk getting exposed to COVID-19. And I signed a compact that I won't do that. Let's fill that time with positive activities. Okay, so exercise, Netflix, maybe there's a funny series you want to watch, gaming, getting involved on campus. Manage your money wisely too. Make sure that you aren't filling out credit card applications. And please know that you can get an underage or a conduct violation for using drugs and alcohol. Is it worth it? Is it worth the stress that it would cause you? Telling your parents, dealing with coming to classes, paying for the fine, whatever that might be. Is it worth it? And be safe. Travel together in groups. Unfortunately, sexual assaults happen all the time. There's a red zone that most sexual assaults occur on college campuses in the first 6 weeks of the semester. So please just be aware of that. And don't mask your mood. We are wearing masks only because this is what is required of us right now to get through this new territory, right? We know that there are emotions going on underneath that mask. Don't mask your mood. Move with your mood. Identify what the emotion is that you're feeling at the moment, and then decide what you need to do from there. So the 3 M's, I mentioned this earlier. So some really quick, important tips that might be helpful. Music, mindfulness, and movement. So music is so important because it soothes you, and it really can help counteract an emotion that maybe you're experiencing, or it can help intensify an emotion you're experiencing. So for instance, if you are feeling really angry and you know that hard rock usually makes you feel more angry, maybe you want to listen to something that's a little bit softer and more calming. If you are going into an exam and you know that you want to get pumped up and feel that eustress and be motivated, and you know that hip hop really makes you feel that way, listen to it. Use that as an opportunity to use music in your life. Music can also be the background to mindfulness and movement. So mindfulness is this idea of not focusing on the past, not focusing on the future, but just staying right in the moment and eliminate those distractions. There's studies that show that we worry 80% of the time about the future or the past, and really only maybe 10 to 20% is actually spent in the present. So try to extend that a little bit for yourself. Try to be in the moment, appreciating what you're doing, and focusing on the people you are with and what you're doing at that moment. Download a free app. So there's thousands of free apps out there. Insight Timer is one of them. And you only need a minute to try this. Movement. Exercise, stretch, or walk away your stress. So we have a YouTube channel that has really great exercise videos, or you can visit Seminar Forest right here on campus and check out the map before you go. So there's a really great hiking trail that you can kind of take a walk in with a friend and maybe take a moment just to focus on being outdoors and in a more relaxed environment, free of distractions. Some virtual resources. So I talked earlier about virtual resources and how important they are. On our website, we already have some great virtual resources. The first one here is WellTrack. That is interactive self-help therapy. It's a free app that you can download. And if you just take your cursor and you click on it, it'll take you right to the web page where that is. So WellTrack is to directly address anxiety and depression. And it also has a Zen room, a virtual Zen room, and a module on public speaking. So if you have to take CAS 100 and you're nervous about public speaking, please look at this module and see if it could be helpful. Obviously, there's our YouTube channel. We have over 40 videos, just fun videos. There's videos on nutrition. There's meditations. There's even a walk around the pond with the ducks and a walk around a farm in Iowa, which is really cool. Take a look at it. There might be some really great resources on there for you. You at PSU is a new platform that can follow you throughout your entire college experience, and you work on some personal goals. And it works around the goals of succeed, thrive, and matter. So Thrive may address some personal wellness goals that you have. And feel free to download the app. It's free, and it will follow you throughout your 4 years. Or you can use it throughout your 4 years. Penn State Pause is new. It's a new virtual media library featuring videos that our counselors are basically filming on their own for you. And there's meditations, coping skills, and more. Thriving Campus. So if you are interested in counseling services but not on campus, you can go to this website, and there are a bunch of providers in the area. You enter in your zip code and your insurance, and you can view those resources. Virtual Life Hacks is a great program that is put on by University Park. So it begins with presentations focused on transitions, and then, kind of moves through different modules that maybe, is focused on well-being, reducing distress, and it's all by clinicians at University Park. So be on the lookout for that. So right at Penn State Altoona, just know that there are resources here to help you. So once again, the Health and Wellness Center has health services, counseling, student disability resources. But also Penn State Altoona, you have academic advisors. Those are the people that are going to really guide you in your academic goals. Career services, student affairs, residence life, campus police, learning resource center. So make sure you check out where these resources are and know where you can find them when you need to find them. If there ever comes a situation where you're concerned about your own or someone else's safety, first of all, know that you should call 911. If something is going on that someone is actively saying things like, I'm going to hurt someone or I'm going to hurt myself, call 911. You can also call the Penn State Crisis Line. So this is as licensed mental health professionals. It's a 24/7 hotline, and you can even call this hotline if you have a concern about another student. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is also on your screen as well, and the local community crisis center. There's also a free crisis text line. So if you text Lions to 741-741, there's trained volunteers that will help get you to a more calm, relaxed state. So if you have some concerns, but they're not immediate concerns, like the person's not in a crisis situation or you're not in a crisis situation, you can also fill out the care and concern report. That is a report that you can do about a friend maybe that you're concerned about. And I, Jess Mock, will reach out to that student or find a way to connect with them that's most appropriate to talk about what's maybe going on and what the concerns are. We do our best to keep this resource as anonymous as possible. So thanks for listening to me. I know it's been 22 minutes, but I hope it was a helpful 22 minutes. Remember that our sessions for counseling will be remote and by contact only. So we're not accepting walk-ins at this time. Just because our doors seem closed, just know that our hearts are still open, okay? And we're still here for you. As a student at Penn State Altoona, you have access to counseling services, and we want you to be able to use that if you need to. Most students just utilize 1 to 4 sessions, and so it might not be a long-term thing, or maybe it will be. But we're here for you, and we want you to know that help is only one call away. So our phone number is listed here. My email address is listed on here. If you should need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out and to just give me a call. You'll also be able to schedule a 30-minute phone screening appointment online at www.altoona.psu.edu/health-wellness. And, a counselor, usually me or one of the other couple counselors that are there, will call you and talk about your concerns and talk about, what next steps might be for you in terms of counseling services. So we're always here for you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you have a great day and a great semester.